Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. Today I'm here with Travis Washburn, who managed to top 8 the Gamerz event with Bulma. Now, first of all, Travis, how's it going?
Doing all right. How you guys doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, yeah, first things first, Bulma is really cool because it's a red deck that was, like, doing some things here or there, I want to say, like, a few months ago, but it's also, like, fallen off the radar pretty significantly, so you obviously chose to play it. I know you pretty much enjoy playing red decks, so what made you want to play Bulma for this event?
The main reason I actually ended up playing it because this was originally supposed to be our, set 13 release, and next set, Bulma actually gets a lot of new cards, and so I was planning on playing this deck already, and then once the set got delayed anyway, I decided, all right, I already decided I was going to play the deck. Let's just tune it up a little bit and see how I can perform in the set 12 meta.
Okay, cool. It's something you've been working on for a little while now. Let's see what the main deck has to offer for us here. So you're going with the Baba Banja's Spike package, which is definitely super solid because all of them become blockers with Bulma. So I'm just curious. I mean, I really think this is a mainstay engine in the deck, but not every Bulma list I see plays it. So I'm just curious what you think about, playing it versus not playing it, if not playing it is absolutely incorrect. And I'm also curious what you think about, like, the Gogeta engine in Bulma.
I definitely think that the right way to play the deck is the Earthling package now. I just can't see playing the deck without it. As for the Gogeta engine, like, it was really, really strong for a long time. The reason that I think that really fell off is actually because of Heroine's lineage. Because in that matchup, if you drop the 6-drop Gogeta, and they just, before used to be, like, unremovable, now they just steal it with your lineage, all of a sudden you basically just lose, and that card's getting a lot of popularity. So I feel like with that card existing, the Gogeta package just is not worth taking the risk of just having your Gogeta stolen and you just basically lose.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, that I hadn't thought of. Firstly, it was like Dark Broly that made Gogeta so bad because they had warp removal. But now that every deck has access to Heroine's lineage, yeah, that actually is that's a little bit rough.
Like, hey, you can't get rid of it, and it's like, oh no, I'll just take it. Now you can't get rid of it. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty rough. Next up, just for some more Earthlings, you're playing 2 Mai, 2 Heroic Duo Videl, and then 2 copies of Videl Miraculous Aid. So Mai, for me, anytime I've played or seen Bulma played, I feel like Mai's a 4 of, man. 1 drop, barrier, blocker, draws a card. Did you feel like you needed to make room for other things, or 2 is really all you ever needed of this card?
It's strictly, yeah, I just needed to have room for other cards. It's already playing 55, once you see the list.
Right.
I was trying really hard to get it down to 50. The card is really, really good. Barrier blocker is really relevant nowadays because, like, there's a lot of non-barrier removal. Like, people clear your board, but you can't deal with the little barrier blocker. But just with the deck already being so big, I didn't really want to go to 60. And just other cards I feel unnecessary. Heroic Duo Videl, it's just another good, like, solid negate block. And then Miraculous Aid is there specifically for the Vegito loop that you have in the deck.
Oh, I see. So you're gonna... Okay, we'll see that in just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So here we have our Unison lineup. So we have 3 Yamcha Merciless Barrage and 3 Wolfang Fist, complemented by 3 Piccolo Jr. and 3 Vegito Unison of Might. So, yeah, I think one of the strongest things about Bulma is, and there's another combo with this we'll see in just a second, but playing Vegito Unison of Might, getting that -2 off, and then so many decks in the meta just, like, can't play the game, right? But I think one of the critiques of this is that turn 4 is just a little bit too late sometimes, but Bulma seems pretty well equipped to get there between all the different blockers you can play. So, was this, like, one of the main win cons of the deck?
Absolutely. The main goal of this deck is you're basically hoping that you'll get to turn 4 unawakened, and you slam Vegito down on 4 and then awaken and protect it with like a Topo or a Violent Rays or Android 17 or something, just protect it for that turn. And then from that point, rest of the game, you can just keep using Videl to cycle Bardox to continuously keep that bar on the board. I think I had one game against the King Piccolo player where I dropped him on turn 4 and he stayed on the board till turn 10. And at that point, like, you just slowly, they can't do it with the game. Like, you win the game if you get him on the board against almost every deck in the meta.
Yeah, right. Like, it really just does seem like, every deck uses cards to be played by skills, right? So that definitely seems like a super solid win con.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then we have just some of our other main kind of like mid-game cards. 2 Yamcha, the Lawless. This is one I'm kind of curious about. Like, I kind of feel like, why 2? You know what I mean? Like, why even include it at 2 if 2 is all you're going to play? Talk me through that.
That actually was the last minute addition. Initially, I had the deck at 50 cards, and then I added, and I just wanted to add in Denial, as we'll see later on, for a different matchup, which I'll discuss then. And I just felt like 52 was enough. I was like, I might as well just go to 55. And I was like, Yamcha's the last edition. And it gives you an additional turn to play in the slow matchups. Like, I did play against one Blue Baby, and he was just another good card that I could just slam on the board and slowly grind out. I actually think I probably would cut him. He was not the greatest card in the throughout the tournament, but he worked. Yeah, he was the last card I added in the entire deck.
Gotcha. And then I am also curious. Only 2 Topo, and there's none in the side deck from what I recall, and then 3 Android 17 Rebel Reinforcements. So obviously you value the Android 17 reviving battle cards more than the Topo. Talk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Like in almost every situation, Android 17 just feels like a better negate because it goes you negate with 17, you res Baba, Baba res bandages, so you're gaining attack plus gaining 2 blockers that are gonna eventually gain you more advantage. But bandages goes into spike. Topo obviously is a turn ender, but in most times I'd rather establish a board than just completely turns off my opponent because you only really need that against like Vegex. King Piccolo is pretty good against. But most of the time, the blockers are just good enough, and they're actually progressing your game state instead of just making you discard a card and going minus.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right, then for some of the tech, we are playing the 2 Bardock Strategic Mind. Probably should have put this a little bit closer to the Unisons, but that's okay. So this is really what you want to play to bolster your Unison's markers, mostly for Vegito, so you can just continuously -2, and this is what you want to be picking up with the Miraculous Aid Videl, right?
Correct. Yeah, you play Vegito on 4, and the next turn you play Bardock, add 3 markers, -2 it again. Then you either combo off the Bardock, block with it, get it off the board. The turn after that, you play Videl, use Videl's effect, put Bardock back in your hand, play Bardock, gain markers. And then if you after you keep doing this for a long time, because once you lose Bardock and Videl, you then use Android 17 to res Videl to add back Bardock to just continue the loop for a long chain.
I see. So you just have like several ways to keep reviving things and recycling cards. That's pretty cool actually, because I feel like it's pretty rare you kind of see that effect in Dragon Ball, where it's like this brings this back, which brings this back. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. And then go ahead. Sorry.
It's just the idea. It's like the only true lock really in the game, other than the Bergamo lock. Because once you get that Vegito running every single turn, there's just nothing they can really do about the game.
Gotcha. And then I think you want to talk about why did you decide to include Denial of Hope?
The only reason I put Denial of Hope in this deck is specifically for your Invoker matchup. Because in the Invoker matchup, they don't pressure you enough that you're really scared of dying early on. So you're gonna get to your turn 4 Vegito turn, and once Vegito lock starts happening, your opponent can never play Victory Strike. They just can never play it. So the only way you can really lose that matchup is being burned out. So I needed to have Denial in the main, because if you denial the Rival Seekers, it's hard. There's no way for the deck to cycle back their Catablows other than their leader effect. So they basically have to see all 4 of them. They have to hard cast their 6-drop, and they have to just slowly burn you out in life, because in that matchup you're going to stay at 8 the entire game.
Gotcha. And then for some of the other defenses, we're playing 2 Violent Rays. Definitely a little curious on why 2. Do you feel like even against Dark Broly and other decks like that, the blockers were kind of just enough?
Yeah, absolutely. Because especially the Dark Brawler matchup, if you get to Vegito turn, they can't play Dark Brawlies. So you just got to get there. So you just needed a couple 2 copies and hope to draw them early enough.
Gotcha. And then Nappa plus Champa. So I think this is pretty cool how you can splash this red-green engine without actually committing so much to it. So Nappa super combo comes in as another super combo or a blocker. And you're playing Champa Beerus. I've seen people play the Arrival Gogeta because that also turns into a blocker. But did you value the Champa Beerus for the sneaky double strike? Is that why?
The sneaky double strike was nice, but the main reason I played it over Gogeta is because a lot of cards in the meta right now, like Gogeta himself or Cooler Arrivals, there's just a lot of cards that are 5-drops that are 20k or lower that Gogeta can't pop, while Champa Beerus can actually deal with those problem threats. Plus, the ability to swing with a 30k Grandpa Gohan, combo a Nappa, play Champa Beerus, makes a 40k double strike is really threatening for really small card economy,
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty cool. I like that logic, because I feel like with blockers you have absolutely plenty. So losing the Gogeta blocker definitely doesn't seem like much of a downside. I do like that about the Champa Beerus, that it pops bigger battle cards than just 4-drops.
And then one thing to mention also with Nappa is the Videl the Android 17 into Videl play can also pick up Nappa. So if you don't have the Vegito, if you don't need the Vegito loop, or you already have enough Bardocks, you can just keep cycling your Nappa super combos, which is really cool.
That does seem actually really strong. That's really cool. And then just for some game enders, we have the 1 Spring Kai Time SCR, the 1 Fu Shrouded. I think Fu Shrouded is a staple quote unquote SCR in specifically Bulma. Just peanut butter and chocolate definitely just goes together perfectly. And
absolutely. It's how most games are finished.
Yeah, for sure. Especially you mentioned one game you went to turn 10, so I imagine that in that case you could have maybe even hardcasted Fu.
I finally drew the Fu, and that's what won me the game. So
nice. And I'll let you just take us right through the side deck.
All right, so the side deck, I'm just gonna go through each match is why we're playing them. So the Championship Park Bardock's, the main reason I'm running that as my overwhelm is because in the Dark Brawling matchup, getting to turn 4 isn't usually too much of a problem, but once you get to that and get the Vegito lock established, you can't really deal with the board that already is there unless you neg to a Piccolo Unison targeting Grandpa Gohan, which is a cool thing. It's the only way to kill 30Ks. Because you only can target 3 or lowers, and Grandpa Gohan's a 3 mana 30k. But so basically the idea is you get to turn 4, you overwhelm this Bardock to clear the board they already established, and then you neg to Vegito, and they can never generate a board ever again. Shu, both, I'm gonna go Shu and Vegeta together. Those are just counterplays. Shu counters a 5k or lower, and the Vegeta it counters a 15k or lower. And once you reach turn 3, he costs 1 mana. I sided all 5 of those cards in every single game, and I think that they actually probably should be moved over to the main deck. Vegeta specifically was incredibly strong. There's so many cards that are just 15ks, like the King Piccolo matchups. All the little, the drum, cymbal, tambourine, all of them are 15ks. You can counterplay that for 1. Plus, you're getting a 10k blocker on the board. And Shu obviously is really good countering all like 1-drops, like 1-drop Broly, 1-drop Piano, Black Mass Saiyan, which is really a problem for the deck. The final blow, I was literally just testing this card out to see how it would go. It was my first time ever playing the card. If you guys don't know what it does, it's an activate main or battle. You can target one of your own cards, negate its skills for the turn, and give it minus 25k to give one of your opponent's battle cards minus 25k. So like I kind of was just trying to see if it was like a surprise, like blowout, opponent hand dumps on a card, you just negative 25 their card and it dies. It was a little underperforming. I probably should just be playing Is That All You Got? But it was a fun tech. Maybe we can mess around with it more. Master Roshi, Martial Virtuoso, he's kind of like a Violent Raise. He's a counterattack that just when your opponent attacks with the card, you play him, and then they can't attack with 25k or higher for the turn. But it requires you to have a Unison in play, so it's a little bit weaker than Violent Raise, but it's a 5k combo and it's a blocker in the deck, so it kind of comes in against Dark Brawly. Master Roshi's Mafuba is just a solid deck card against a lot of it's Mafuba, but you requires an Earthling to in play, so it's really strong against like the Brawly swap engine. You just Mafuba, they're 1-drop, they can't go anymore, and it just stops the turn, which that's definitely one of your like rougher matchups because the deck can go so hard. And then my tech that I decided that I actually really liked throughout this weekend was I actually side decked in the winter launches, as you can see. The main idea of this card is you're just gonna cast it on the board for 1. And what destroys this deck is Black Mass Saiyan. You get utterly destroyed by Black Mass Saiyan. So like by having that card just simply on the board, you can just every turn you combo Grandpa Gohan, combo Nappa, you pop Black Mass Saiyan. Then your opponent's turn they play Black Mass Saiyan again. Your first combo you kill the Black Mass Saiyan. And then on top of that, it is a blocker. It's a 1-mana blocker, which is kind of cool. But it's really just in there as a Black Mass Saiyan killer, and it actually performed very well throughout the weekend.
Very cool. All right, so that's the entire list. We already talked about some things you would definitely think about changing, maybe trying to bring it down to 50. But I've actually heard that with Bulma players before, that it's actually pretty difficult to like get it down to 50. There's so many like cool techs that you explained and that you're able to fit into the deck. So, anyways, Travis, congratulations again. Any final shout outs you want to throw out there?
Just shout out to my team, Gamerz, and the whole G team, the card guys, G Sports, Gamerz, the whole group. We all work together trying to like build cool decks. So just shout out to all of them. Shout out to my store itself, Gamerz, for running this fantastic event. It was a really good time. And like I said, set 13, this deck only gets better. So keep an eye out for it. If you have any interest in playing Bulma, guys.
All right, man. Very cool. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next time.
All right, see you later.